Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing one of the most searched for projects for Glowforge, and that is this custom engraved hanger. So I am doing this hanger from IKEA. I also did it in the unfinished wood. These are both in packs from IKEA. I have found that the IKEA hangers are like a treasure trove of blanks. You can get them in a really nice affordable pack. They engrave beautifully, and you can sell them at a pretty decent profit. So this video is actually going to kind of be in a series. You're going to recognize this name from another video coming out soon. This is kind of like a whole wedding set. We have hangers, we'll have a cake topper, and I'm actually going to be doing a watch band for this as well. So if you're excited about this video, just go ahead and like it now. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. And if you watch this and you're ready for your Glowforge, you can use the link in the description to save up to $500 on a new machine. All right, my friends, I am in Silhouette Studio. This is what we are going to be designing our design in. One thing to note is I am in the process, I'm filming this in October, of putting together a Facebook Live / YouTube Live series on how to design in Silhouette Studio. So if that's something that's interesting to you, please leave me a comment so I can kind of gauge interest. I'm kind of mulling over it right now. So this video is actually going to be in a pairing. They'll be uploaded separately, but it's kind of like the same base project. This is part of basically a wedding package, something for a bride. So let me pop over here and show you just a preview. This was a set of 2 mock-ups that I sent to this customer for their cake. They were looking for something very classic, so I chose these fonts because they resembled the fonts on their invitation. So this is actually the font. This top one is what we're using for their cake topper. Now the bride asked me to create a hanger for her. So my immediate thought was to do Medina Clean, since that's what every bride likes now, but she's doing something more classic. So we're gonna pull that same font, and so that font is called Great Vibes. So I'm going just to type out Mrs., because she is a bride. Click on it, right side over here, this is our text panel. And I'm just going to search the font. Great Vibes. So check it out. So we have our Mrs. right there. I'm going to click on it right here, hit this top left, and fill it in. I missed it. I didn't actually fill that in. This just helps me visualize what I'm working with right now. So let's just kind of increase this so I can see. Now I want to do the last name in a new text box. You can copy and paste, you can do whatever you want. I like to make a quick duplicate. The way that I'm doing that is I'm holding down the Alt button right here. So Alt, click, drag, perfect. So now I'm going to double click. Double click puts you in text edit mode. That allows you to retype whatever you need. So I'm gonna hit Control A while I'm in here. This selects all the text in there. Now you can highlight, you can delete, you can do whatever you want. I just like to do Control A because it's a shortcut. And then we're gonna do Cicero. Now the difference between this design and our mock-up here is that this isn't a cake topper. So I don't need to join that dot to the eye. I don't have to build a little bridge here. I can literally just leave it just like this because we are engraving it. Right, so now we're in our original window. So I want to set this up to have Cicero as like the main focus and Mrs. smaller. So I'm going to shrink this down. And I basically want this to kind of sit with these 2 parts touching right here. Now I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, because I kind of want that to be, you know, mirrored in there, but not too much. Let me nudge it down just 1 with my arrow key on my computer. Now, if this is something you are offering as a sale item, I recommend at this point in the process to save this as a Silhouette Studio file. That way you can go in, keep the font, but change the words, okay? So now we need our next line with our date. She is getting married November 13th. So I'll do 11/13/2021. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do dates. Some people spell it out, some people like dashes. I felt with this look it looked better with the periods, but really again that's all a matter of preference. So let me go through and choose a font. I'm typing in Braden Let me reference my other document to make sure that was what I used in my practice round. Right, so I'm gonna go over here, fill it in like I did with this last part. I missed it again. You know, clicking. Sometimes it's just not as easy for all of us. Okay, so now we're gonna take that, shrink this down. And I'm not worrying too much about the actual dimensions. I'll adjust that as I go. If you can see, we have this right down here. I'm going to make this just a little bit larger to fit within this space. And then I'm just going to grab both of these right here, use my mouse to click and drag, and I'm going to center them. So now that's centered on my name. I'm going to take these two right here, select both of those, right click, weld, and then you'll see that these have different squares around there. That's because those lines weren't actually overlapping. So you can either group it, or I'm going to right click and make compound path, which essentially means that I'm simplifying it into one big object. Now I'm happy with where this is in relation to there. So now I can take my design right here. I'm going to click and drag, and then go to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. Now keep in mind, you do have to have the Business Edition upgrade of Silhouette Studio to be able to save as SVG. But if you have not picked up from my videos before, I think it's more than worth it. It's a one-time purchase, and then you'll have it forever. So let me save this to hard drive, and I will see you in just a second in my Glowforge software. All right, so I have my Glowforge, and here is my hanger. Now this is one of these standard white IKEA hangers. They make them in like a wood look and a white look. And we're engraving right on here. Now, those of you who watch me often will be very surprised to see me doing what I'm doing right now, which is masking. I hate masking things, but just for the sake of this, and I don't want the charring to go on the paint, I am taking a small piece of my masking tape. I guess this isn't really small, but a piece of my masking tape, and I'm masking my hanger. You guys know I don't like doing this, but for the sake of making it easier after, I will for this one. So I'm just going to trim off these sides here so I can just burnish them a little bit easier. Just moving this to the side. I don't want loose tape, paper tape, flying around in my machine because that poses its own kind of fire hazard. But now I have this nice smoothed area right here. So now the next thing I need to do is I actually need to take out my crumb tray. This hanger sits at like close to maybe like an inch. Not an inch, I'm sorry, a ½ inch, but I also don't want to risk it. If something is higher than a ½ inch, it won't clear the laser with the crumb tray. So we're going to take out the crumb tray. Just lift and pull. I'm just going to set it literally right underneath. Close this back up. Now one thing to keep in mind is when you're engraving with Glowforge, Glowforge can engrave up to 2 inches from the bottom, and it has to be within a ½ inch. So it has to be at least 1.5 inches from the bottom, this right here. So if I put this straight in my Glowforge, it's actually not high enough. So I have these 2 little boards that I like to use to prop them up. You can use whatever you like. Some people use extra plywood, some people use Legos. That's all really a matter of preference. What you need is essentially, you just need to get the top of your item within that 1.5 inch to 1.5 inch to 2 inch threshold. So now we're just going to set this in here, checking out to make sure it's straight. And now we're going to close the lid. So I'll see you in just a second as we set up our design, and then you will see a time lapse of the engraving. Okie dokie. So I uploaded the file into Glowforge, and you can see my hangers in there already. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the 3 dots and set my focus right on the top of our hanger. Now some people like to manually put in the focus. I prefer to set focus unless it's something that I'm doing a lot and I'm doing a jig. But for this, I think it gives a good, accurate representation in the camera of how it looks, and then I can line up my design. So while that's going, I'm going to program in my settings. Now, you guys know I like to program in my own custom stuff. So I am using one that I've programmed in called Charcuterie Small. That's a speed of 1000 and precision power of 60. Now I'm doing that because I don't want it to be super deep into the hanger. I want it to be a nice quick engrave so it's not super dark. And that one works really well for like, you know, like softer colors, you know, not super hardwoods, and I really like it. So now I'm zooming in, using the pan button to pan over, and now I'm just kind of using my arrows to figure out how to place it on here. The tricky part with this design is that because we're doing 2021, the date looks disproportionate, but this looks like the middle. So we're all set, we're lining it off of there. So now all that's left is to print and look at the final product. Hi, it's me in editing mode. You are going to see me adjust the settings here. So the time lapse you're about to see was the first one, but it was a little bit light. I didn't like it, I didn't think it would go through. So I'm changing the settings to be up a little bit higher in power to 100. And now I'm going to kind of set the focus and restart it. Now what's really, really important about this is that when I saw the hanger and I wasn't happy about the engrave, I did not touch it. I did not move it at all. So my hanger and my design are in the exact same spot. So that this right here allows me to redo it and engrave right over it. So you're going to see a time lapse in just a second of the first engrave. I didn't show you the second one, but you know, it looks the same either way. So just kind of let you know what just happened, and I will see you in a second. Thanks. Alright guys, so our hanger is done. You may notice from the footage that I actually ran it again. So after the first run, I felt that the engrave wasn't dark enough, so I didn't touch it at all. I didn't move a single thing, and I went straight back into my software, changed the settings to have more power, and then ran it again. So what that did is it just went over the exact same spot so we could get a nice darker look. So that's one thing to remember if you feel like your engrave isn't that deep. Don't like rush yourself. Look at it, and if you think that you can kind of make it a little bit darker, then you should. So you can see right here, I'm just taking off this masking tape. You can see it had some charring on the masking tape, but nice and clean where the actual engrave is. So these were just white hangers from IKEA. You can see I did do this in a brown wood hanger as well. This was my test one. So super fun project. This is really, really popular with Glowforge makers. This is not something original to me, but this is really popular for wedding season. I already have multiple people asking for me to make them, and I think they turn out really nice. So super simple. Those little brown spots are just the masking tape. They'll be fine later. And it's a great project for Glowforge, and the profitability is pretty high. You can get a pack of these hangers for cheap, and these I would not sell for any less than 20 a piece. And I think that's a really good price for it. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I love teaching Silhouette Studio. I love teaching Glowforge, so make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more uploads. And if you're finally ready to get a machine of your own, you can check out the link in the description and you can save up to $500 on a new machine.